Today, if you feel cold, what do? You probably go inside your house. You close the door. You put on warm clothes. You turn on the heater or space heater. Some people make themselves a hot cup of coffee or tea, and within just a few minutes, the cold seems to disappear. But have you ever wondered how people managed to survive the winter thousands of years ago? When there was no electricity, no heaters, no permanent houses, and no warm clothes bought from a store. If you think they simply walked into a cave and stayed there, then you're probably wrong. Because today, you're not just going to hear about them, you're about to become one of them yourself. A blast of icy wind hits your face. As you open your eyes, there are no roads, no cities in front of you. All you can see is tall grass, rocky cliffs, and a vast forest stretching into the distance. You've traveled nearly 20,000 years into the past. There isn't much time left before the sun sets, and the first rule of this world is crystal clear. If you don't find a safe shelter before sunset, you may never live to see the next sunrise. Now look around you. You don't have a flashlight, no phone, no matches, and no house where you can run and hide. So what are you going to do now? Will you walk into the first cave you see? Or will you first find out if that cave is even empty? Or if its real owner is still out hunting? That single decision will determine whether you survive your very first night. And believe it or not, for your ancestors, the fight against the cold didn't begin with building a fire. It began with choosing the right place. You slowly make your way toward the cave. With every step you take, one question keeps running through your mind. Is this cave about to become your home for the night? Today, when we buy or rent a house, all we have to ask is whether it's a nice place to live. But your world has changed. Here, a home doesn't have to be beautiful. It has to be safe. You stop just outside the cave. You crouch down and carefully examine the ground. If there are fresh tracks from large paws, if a strong animal scent is drifting out from inside, or if bones are scattered around the entrance, then it means only one thing. This cave already belongs to someone else. And back then, walking into a wild animal's home was almost the same as inviting your own death. That's why your ancestors never entered the very first cave they found. They inspected it first. They walked around it. They read the signs. Only then did they make their decision. After searching for quite a while, you finally find a small, rocky shelter. There are no fresh signs of anything living inside. You let out a sigh of relief, but then it hits you. Just because you have a roof over your head doesn't mean the cold will stop. The temperature outside keeps dropping. The cave can block the wind, but it can't keep your body warm. Now you're facing the next challenge. Can you warm the place up by flipping a switch like you do today? Absolutely not. Now you have to do exactly what your ancestors did thousands of years ago. You have to make a fire, and if you can't get one going tonight, even this cave won't keep you alive for long. Now you need to build a fire. But wait a second. You don't have a lighter in your pocket like you do today. No matches, no gas, and nothing that can start a fire in just a second. So what are you going to do now? First, you need to gather dry twigs, dry grass, and small pieces of dry wood. But there's a problem here too. If the wood is even slightly damp, hours of hard work could end up being wasted. That's why our ancestors collected dry firewood before the sun went down. They knew that once night fell, searching the forest for anything could become extremely dangerous. After a lot of effort, you finally find enough dry wood. Now it's time to create fire. You begin rubbing 2 dry sticks together as fast as you can. Your hands start to ache. Your fingers begin to go numb. Several minutes pass, but there's still no fire. That's the reality. Starting a fire looks easy in movies, but in real life, our ancestors often had to work for a long time before they succeeded. Later, people in different parts of the world also used stones and other techniques to create sparks more quickly. Finally, a tiny spark lands on the dry grass. You gently blow on it. A few seconds later, a small flame appears, and in that moment you realize you didn't just start a fire, You ignited your greatest chance of surviving the night. The cave already feels a little warmer, but there's still one major problem left. The fire can keep you warm, but it can't keep you alive all night on an empty stomach. Fire is finally burning. Now it feels like the hardest part is over, but the real challenge is only beginning. Today, when you get hungry, you open the refrigerator, order food, or cook a meal in just a few minutes. But in your world, there is no kitchen, no stores, no farms. If you don't find food today, you won't even have the strength to fight the cold tomorrow. That's why your ancestors didn't just hunt. They understood the seasons, stored food whenever they could, and never wasted their energy for no reason. They knew that every calorie saved during the winter could mean the difference between life and death the next day. Now you're sitting beside your fire. Outside, the freezing wind is still blowing, but this time you have a safe shelter, a little warmth, and the biggest lesson of all. You realize that your ancestors weren't just strong, they were wise. They didn't survive by fighting nature, they survived by understanding it. Why you must choose the right cave, when to build a fire, why you should gather firewood before it's too late, how to preserve your food. These small decisions are what kept humans alive for thousands of generations. Now, one final question. If you were really sent back thousands of years tonight, where there was no electricity, no heater, no permanent house, would you survive even a single night? Maybe. For the very first time, you've realized that humanity's greatest strength wasn't modern technology, it was the wisdom of our ancestors, the very reason we're able to sit comfortably in a warm room today.